I have absolutely no patience for stupidity. I've never really had much patience for it at all. I talk to and I'm arguing with a bunch of people that are pushing for daylight savings time to be made permanent. That actually, for one thing, the best option is to make standard time permanent. And honestly, between going over to daylight savings time and going, just keeping things being made permanent and making things and just keeping the current system is vastly superior to going over to permanent daylight savings time. If we're going to make that permanent, we should just not change the policy at all and keep the pain in the ass system we've got right now. It should be permanent standard time or bust. And you know what? I'm done. I talked about it, and I talked about how the loss of sleep impacts, like you lose an hour of sleep as a result of it. And this dumbass comes back at me and she's like, "Oh my god, just get better," which is something you only say in response if you have brain worms and the intelligence of a fourth grader at best, if not worse. Like your brain has fallen out of your head. You're stupid. You're so stupid that in fact I need to play the clip in response to you and then explain exactly why you're an idiot in all this because I'm so fucking sick of it.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
And that is to you, Monica. You win no points here. I'm not for making permanent standard time, the policy of our civilization because of how it impacts me personally. So your response is about as intelligent as a bag of rocks. You need to start thinking critically and bigger picture, you fucking idiots. It doesn't act. So let's run a scenario in our heads. Imagine I did take your advice and I did go to bed an hour earlier. Now, what happens if a bunch of people in my society don't? Well, you still have all the problems that daylight savings time causes. You have the uptick in traffic accidents. You have the uptick in fatal car attacks. The diabetics get everything worse as well. All these impacts happen despite the fact that I go to bed earlier. And now let's imagine I go driving at that point and I'm better rested. Well, it doesn't matter because somebody else didn't, and they're driving drowsy in my society, and I end up getting, basically collided with a head-on collision with another driver because they've fallen asleep behind the wheel. It doesn't benefit me at all, really. I might get an extra hour and everything and be better rested myself personally, but the whole situation that's on the road depends on everybody being better rested that's on the road, for one thing. I mean, how is it that this is your response? How do you not get it? It's not about how this policy would impact me personally. It's about how this policy would impact all of us, which means it's about how it affects the herd and not just me as an individual. Honestly, of all the policies, basically this one's better, the one that we're currently on, than permanent daylight savings times, because at least then the clock is on standard time part of the year. I'm sorry, but daylight savings is the fucking problem. And I know that Donald Trump is vowing to get rid of it, but this is the one thing I think, stop clocks. I didn't vote for Trump. I voted against him, and yet I would specifically endorse this policy decision by him. Thank you, Mr. President, for, vowing to do everything in your power to end this stupid decision. And yes, you are right. The worst of all possible worlds would be to go over to permanent daylight savings. Standard time, being made permanent or bust. No fix or permanent standard time. I don't want any change unless it's permanent standard time.